So, folks, I wanted to start out our show tonight at talking a little bit about what the vision for at least the rhetoric of a candidate in 2028 for the Democratic ticket. What should that look like? And I think really we don't have to look that much farther than what Zohran Mamdani is doing basically every single day in New York City these days. Like it's honestly ridiculous how absolutely nailing it at being a politician this guy is. And I know inevitably he's going to screw it up, but he hasn't yet. But like this is essentially what every single elected Democrat in Congress and who is aiming for the presidency, this is what they should be like. These are the notes they should be cribbing from, you know? Here is exactly the rhetoric that I think is essentially like pinpoint precision guided to be excellent at winning in any of the upcoming elections that we have going here. Okay, so if you guys have any idea, like any of the politicians who are just kind of like running around like chickens with their heads chopped off, you know, just like not sure what they should be doing. Oh, should we take a strong stance against ICE? I don't know. Like, I gotta be honest, this is where they should all be at right now. This should be the bare minimum. This is the bar.
Faith, we are told, is the belief in things unseen. Faith that the bus would arrive. Faith that somehow, some way, the rent would get paid. Faith that a leader would place the concerns of the many before the interests of the few. Standing before you today, I think of Deuteronomy 10:17-18, which describes the Lord as one who shows no partiality and accepts no bribes. He defends the cause of the orphan and the widow, and loves the stranger residing among you, giving them food and clothing. And today, my friends, I want to reflect on the third charge, loving the stranger. Across this country, day after day, we bear witness to cruelty that staggers the conscience. People ripped from their cars, guns drawn against the unarmed, families torn apart, lives shattered, quietly, swiftly, brutally. If these are not attacks upon the stranger among us, what is? ICE is more than a rogue agency. It is a manifestation of the abuse of power. In fact, we know that there is no reforming something so rotten and so base. As the federal government attacks our neighbors, those who worship in just the next pew over, they command us not to believe what we see. And they would succeed were it not for the many among us who have not only read the scripture, but who live the scripture. Those who refuse to abandon the stranger. In a moment such as this, I look to the Bhagavad Gita, which teaches us that the highest calling is to become someone who sees the true equality of all living beings and responds to the joys and sorrows of others as if they were their own. I think of Exodus 23:9, the words of the Torah, "Thou shalt not oppress a stranger, for ye know the heart of a stranger, seeing ye were strangers in the land of Egypt." And I consider my own faith, Islam, a religion built upon a narrative of migration. As the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, Islam began as something strange and will go back to being strange. So glad tidings to the strangers. If faith offers us the moral compass to stand alongside the stranger, government can provide the resources. And that is why this morning, right here in this moment, I shall sign an executive order that will uphold our city's protection not just of our fellow immigrant New Yorkers, but of all New Yorkers from abusive immigration enforcement. This order is a sweeping reaffirmation of our commitment to our immigrant neighbors and to public safety as a whole. We will make it clear once again that ICE will not be able to enter New York City property without a judicial warrant. That means we will protect New Yorkers' private data from being unlawfully accessed by the federal government and stand firmly against any effort to intrude on our privacy. This order mandates that essential city agencies are complying with city laws, and it will establish an interagency response committee so that in the event of a major crisis, we are ready and equipped to do the job of protecting New Yorkers. City Hall will not look away, but we need our faith leaders with us. Your moral clarity, your integrity, they are the pillars upon which countless movements for justice have been built. If anything can turn back the rising tide of hatred, it is a chorus of those who worship differently and live differently My friends, for as long as people have called this city their home, the forces of darkness have raised the question, who is a New Yorker? The people of the city have offered our own answer, all of us. This will not be an easy contest. Those on the other side, the ice agents of the world, hold power and weaponry and a sense of impunity. And yet we hold one advantage over them. One advantage that no matter how hard they try, they cannot overcome. As they mask their faces to attack and murder, we are not ashamed of our answer. So together, New York, let us love the stranger among us, because we are them and they are us. Thank you.
I'm not gonna lie, guys. There are very few people that I would say might be able to amass the kind of political capital to change the Constitution just purely on the basis of their gift for oratory and their penchant for correct and good and beneficial policy making. But New York's Zohran Mamdani, I know that there are very real barriers between him one day becoming president of the United States, but like, you can't tell me as an American you listen to a speech like that combined with action like that, and you don't see a little bit of yourself that thinks, yeah, this man could go all the way to the White House. You know, like, I'm sorry. Yeah, like, we'll get the Mamdani amendment through, exactly, just for him. But all that being said, what you have here is a perfect outline for the rhetoric that can win just about anyone over in America, okay? You've got a direct appeal to the religious roots of a lot of very deeply convicted individuals who, they exist in America, and often they're very conservative. But this type of rhetoric shakes those conservative roots, you know? And I think that every single Democrat that is running for office would do well to take from this that, like, understanding a compassionate and being able to present a compassionate view rooted in different religious traditions is actually a strength. It can actually be used as a strength. And in this particular case, it is a wisely picked strength to appeal to, using a day for New York's religious community to come together with the mayor, largely because one of the foundations you need to win over in order to oppose an authoritarian that is attempting to seize power is the faith community. There are several different pillars that keep society supported. One of them is, in fact, the faith community. And I know that there are probably those among you who are like, oh, why does he have to make appeals to faith? Well, it's because, like, we live in a society where people have that faith. And just from a purely rhetorical point of view, this is a very good move, you know? Not only that, but he follows it up with immediate action. And now, of course, one of the funnier parts of this is that, like, a mayor's executive order has relatively minimal impact, generally speaking. But what this does is it signals that no matter how small or virtue signally it might be, this man is in our corner. This man is going to fight the entire federal government in order to keep you safe. And that is an incredibly powerful stance to take as a politician. It builds faith in their ability to lead. And that's incredibly, incredibly important. People need to believe in political leadership. And that has been something that is all too often something that Democrats in leadership positions have been too afraid to show. You know, when you've got like Chuck Schumer out there and Hakeem Jeffries, they're afraid. Like, the reason they don't put out any like hard calls to action or any kind of prescription for what they want to have done, and the reason they lag behind like public opinion and they lag behind activist calls to action is because they're afraid. They want to means test every single thing that they do instead of looking at the situation and assessing, like, what is the right thing to do? What is the righteous thing to do? What is the good thing to do that will help working people in my districts? They have to means test all of it. They have to spend $10 million just to figure out what their next position is going to be, you know? That's one of the reasons Mamdani speaks from a point of strength here. It's because he doesn't need to means test his positions because he actually has principled positions. And you can tell the difference plain as day. And yeah, I just think that this is the blueprint. If you wanted like a 4-minute long condensed blueprint on how you construct a speech to resonate with the American people across, you know, urban, rural divides or across socioeconomic, the socioeconomic ladder, like this is it. You know, this is about as strong a showing as you're going to get. And I think that ultimately, like Zohran Mamdani is going to be judged both on the strength of his rhetoric and the strength of his ability to coalition build, as well as on his ability to deliver on his promises. And I think that if he can deliver on the promises that he has made, which so far he's been chugging along, he's been getting those favors in order with Albany in order to get his positions passed into law, which is shrewd on his part. And so I just think that this is an extraordinary condensation of what we actually need from Democratic politicians. We're going to be talking about that a lot more later on in today's show. But I think for what we're talking about right now, I think it kind of speaks for itself. We need somebody who's actually going to fight for us. We need somebody who's actually going to be able to understand how to package that to appeal to folks and get them on his side or her side or their side. It is going to rely on all of us working together. And it is also going to rely on having people who are willing to step up to the plate and actually do the hard task of leading. And I think we're going to see that. I do think that we are going to see that as we go forward more and more, and the Democrats realize it's time to really plant their flags and speak out. We're already beginning to see it as the midterms begin to heat up, but I think this should be like the big green flag saying, just go for it. Just go for it. People are hungry for a progressive, pro-working class candidate for the first time in like 60 years. Like, if not now, when? And I think taking the rhetoric of the stranger and making that a national call to action, a national call to embrace the stranger, for at one point we were all strangers, I think that should be a just a gimme, like a rhetorical gimme. Like, everyone should be incorporating that into their messaging. It inherently puts you at odds against ICE, but not only that, it puts all good people of faith and conscience against ICE. And that, I think, is an important task to really drive into the general electorate. That just my thoughts on the matter. And I think that it's just like such a solid showing that every Democrat should be cribbing from this speech. That being said, let me know what you think in the comments. And also, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we need to get organized. The midterms are coming up here, folks. It's not enough just for me to blather on about like the need for people to embrace this rhetoric. Get involved in your local political orgs. Get involved with your local Dems. Get involved with your local DSA. And then use your positions there to get your local politicians to start using this type of rhetoric, to start actually stepping up to the plate and defending your local area against ICE. It needs to be done because these folks are just appearing in rural and urban and suburban areas and just snatching people up. And we need to organize an actual meaningful resistance in the form of like making sure all your elected officials are against their constituents being snatched up. Simple as. So, all that being said, get organized with your local Dems, get organized with your local DSA. If you need help, join our Discord, reach out to GamerG for help with DSA, reach out to Dragonfly for help with your local Dems, and last but not least, check out ImogeneOlivia.com. Gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes, tested with cis men, cis women, non-binary folks. People love it. It is non-tucking lingerie. Check it out. New colors and styles and sizes coming in the near future. So please do check it out. Link should be down in the doobly-doo. And let's keep on going.
Riverboat Jack is going to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.